Mr. Adebuga, welcome.
Thank you very much.
We're going to go through various aspects of your book, Rawlings, Murder, and His Lies.
Yes.
How old were you when you joined the armed forces in Ghana?
I was about 15 years of age. You know, at that time, the boys' company or junior leaders, we are recruited when we are very young, and then we have a 3-year course in the military academy or armed forces university. So by the time you turn 18 years, you become a regular soldier.
Okay.
And that is why it was at a tender age.
All right. At what point did you meet Rawlings?
When I joined my mother unit, which is the Recce Regiment, Ammo Reconnaissance Regiment at Gonda Barracks.
Okay.
We used to ride horse together.
All right.
Yeah.
And in your book, you actually narrated a story where Rawlings took some white women into the bushes, and when he came back,
yes,
he actually called you by a nickname.
Yes,
Young.
Yeah, because of my age. Yeah. You know, we used to ride these horses because it's part of our training.
All right.
When you join the Recce Regiment, either you are a gunner, you'll be trained as a signaler, or you'll be trained as a driver, and the last one is equitation, which is horse riding.
Okay.
So you have to rotate the whole 4,
right,
and then you are mastered. Either you are a gunner signaler or a driver signaler.
Okay.
But the equitation is for ceremonial purposes, as you can see in the case of Sif June or Prince Harry, their wedding, those riding the horses.
Okay.
So we were trained
to do that. Since you were actually trained in a civil manner, in a way to defend your country, why the revolution in 1981?
It's a long story, but
let's summarize it in a way that we can. Yeah. Today, we're going to go through the hurdles, because we had the opportunity to meet Nana Aduma Kunyamiche.
Yes.
In his story, a lot of people criticized you for being a criminal, probably leading a revolution that was not necessary. Do you agree with those statements?
No, I do agree, because, like I said, there were so many factors that narrowed into it, and eventually I was caught at the last minute.
Why the revolution of 1981? Why did you? Because before even Rawlings met you, he was actually suspended from the army, wasn't he?
That's right.
So you actually planned the coup with only 3 men?
Yes.
Why?
We're 10,
Why?
actually. Because, as I said, my relationship with Rawlings dated back from the time I entered the army as a horse rider.
Right.
He used to come there with some diplomatic corps, and this woman, Ajowiak, he was the instructor, and then we have a Fokwa, and then we have a lot of them. He was also playing polo, so we became acquainted there. And the 4th June, actually, he came to airport. I was stationed there, and then he used to come and then talk to me, Owusu Bempa, and the rest about how things are not going well. So by the time the 15th May came, they suspected me, and they sent me on leave, that I was always having dealings with him. And then when the 4th June came, he called me to be his bodyguard. So I was actually a leading escort anywhere he was going.
Okay, let's go back. 31st December 1981.
Yes.
Rawlings, probably in your book, I'll quote you in your own book. In your book, you narrated that Rawlings had actually told you that Liman, was the former President Liman, was involved in the whole process, and he wanted you guys to take him off power and reinstate him back again.
That is true.
And you believed it?
To an extent, because at that time, taking into consideration my age, and then the fact that I went to the Achimota forest with Akatapore, who was a member, Chris Bukari Atim was there, Lidu Jiwa was there.
So he convinced all of you?
Yes. because when we were at Chimota Forest, a kind of car, a limousine, came and passed into the forest. And then Akatapori and Rollins and our team excused us, and they went inside. So myself, Jiwa, Albert Baffa, Ajowiak, Jack Mahoney, we were waiting. And then when they came back, they managed to convince us that they went and met Dr. Liman. And he was saying that his own party people are making it difficult for him to govern. You heard that story that time, Adai Makwa and the rest, sending him to court. They say Moro Igala brought him from nowhere and put him on,
in power.
In power.
Right.
And then there were these old guys and new guys fighting among themselves. So the party itself contributed to the coup. That is what I want to say.
Did you believe it, or you're saying in actual sense that they actually contributed to the coup?
Yeah, by the way I was explaining that they were making it difficult for him to govern. I didn't see Liman, but this is what these three gentlemen came and told me.
Which is Akatapori?
Yes, and Chris Atim, and including Rollins, which they are still alive. If they are very sincere and honest with themselves, they will come up and either verify what I'm saying or substantiate it or deny it. But this is what happened. So we were to take power and give it back to Liman. And so on that day...
Did it make sense to you?
It didn't make sense, but from the way they narrated it, that he was just a figurehead. And
why did you believe them?
Well, I believe it because at that time, like I said, I was so close to Rollins that whatever he said, I believe him.
Was it not on the point that he actually misled you to believe that the Fantis wanted to take over the government of Liman, and you were not, and therefore you bought the idea?
Yes, and then other factors like they tried to poison Imoro Gala, you see. So it was like their party, Liman's party, was crumbling. And so that is exactly the only way to salvage him.
Were you fighting in the interest of where you were coming from? On that basis, were you just fighting to defend the ethnicity of Liman being the northern power in the country? Were you fighting to defend that?
To an extent, because it was not easy for a northerner to become a president at that time. We were used as underdogs. So this was the first time a northerner was on top. And so we, the northerners, thought that we could protect him. And so I was convinced that, no, we have to be able to defend our own kind.
That is your own justification?
Yes, that is my opinion.
Tell me, when you were in the process of taking over, okay, a lot of people were killed, your own comrades, your own friends,
yes,
families, children.
Yeah.
How do you explain that to them when you should be protecting their interest?
Well, the problem is that in war, you have
You call it war?
Well, because it was when going to take it by force.
Okay.
And in the process, there must be some kind of casualties. So it could be from any side.
Is that how you guys are trained in the army?
No, we're not trained. It was at that time what we call youthful exuberant, because the 4th June had just died out, and because it was just 3 months, we saw it that no, this is what we call a way forward for the government to move. In addition to this northern factor, we were thinking that it was only Rollins who could protect Liman's interest, because he made it possible for Liman to win, because during the election, they made sure that it was fair. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, the Victor Usu party were going to rig it,
okay,
according to Rollins, who told me their story.
Okay.
And then, in addition to that, when he was handing over to Liman, if you heard, he said that your government is under probation, you see. And so he was still going to Liman and, listening to him, and Liman was taking his advice until the time that Fulera Leman saw that he was playing games. And that is the time that I'm sure he was not giving Rollins a face. But then Rollins came to tell us also about other things that, in a way, he couldn't complete the revolution because he went to Cuba. And when he came back, I was there. He and Boachijan, they nearly exchanged fire. Boachijan bodyguards and Rollins bodyguards at Arakan Barracks. Because Boachijan and his colleagues, Batch and Four, Mensa Bedima, they have already signed the handing over, and Rollins was not happy. So today, I would say that we were being manipulated to join.
Were you under any influence of drugs or alcohol or anything at that point? Because it baffles me to understand why a boy of such young age will want to now get into such a huge revolution. Yeah, that you didn't even know you were going to come back.
No, because Rollins was giving us this kind of socialist books.
He was giving you socialist books?
Okay. To read.
In your book, you made mention that his last words to you before you actually started it was that, gentlemen, from now, you are all going to prosper. Did you believe that?
Yeah, I believe him.
Were you coming from a very poor background?
No, but at least I didn't get those privileges that under normal circumstances, we could have gotten.
What privileges were you looking for?
A car loan, for instance.
You had a Peugeot?
No, that was after the revolution.
Yes. So that is all you were looking for, a car?
Yeah, to also drive, and then what we call food, clothing, and shelter. Which
I quite remember he flew you over Nima,
yes,
and airport residential, and made
reference that the workers, I should just look at Nima, and they were just from the area, they were just dotted hats, and then
why did he just get interest in you?
Because we were very, very closer, and he saw that I was the one who was having influence on the boys. We normally play football every weekend, basketball, and this horse riding. And I was not married at that time, so when we finished, we organized some food at my house, and all of them come to eat. So he knew that from me, I could be able to recruit the boys.
You were also very particular in your book about how you were good in shooting.
Yes, I was a marksman at that time.
You speak profoundly about it. Do you take delight in killing?
No, not killing, but as a soldier, we were trained to kill. But not in peacetime, but when there is a danger. So that is our profession. Just like the one who is selling a casket. He doesn't want somebody to die, but that is his profession.
1982 came into effect.
Yeah.